Welcome to the Balao, a ship I initially wrote off as being worse than the German submarine counterpart at tier 10, simply because it loaded its torps sequentially instead of all at once like the German submarine did. But after watching a friend of mine, Jake and BFK stream, and playing these ships and absolutely owning everyone, they showed me how good this ship can be, and that actually loading the torps sequentially can be a good thing due to staggering the torpedoes out, and then, well, people use their damage control and then there's nothing they can do. So you really do enjoy that ability to just always be dumping torpedoes out. So we got a ridiculous fast reload at 40 seconds on these torpedoes. And you saw my build earlier on. I'm actually really not even spec'd all that hard into building for these torpedoes, because they're just that good on their own. We're just trying to up our battery capacity. That's something else that, after playing a bit and also learning from some people who have played these a lot more than I have, yeah, battery capacity is incredibly important. And you can see we can get this thing up to nearly 10 minutes of battery capacity. Insane. And it makes you nearly unkillable, because people have to get right over top of you if they want to spot you. Planes, ships, doesn't matter. They have to get right on top of you. So if you just stick near enough your teammates where you can just dip underwater, even if you're spotted, become essentially immune to damage, and then run to your teammates for support to get whoever is spotting you away from you, you're not going to die. It's just that good. But this ship is perfect, as along with the other submarines, is perfect for epicenter. Something that you really want is people pushing into you. That is the ideal position to be in as a submarine, because, well, what are people gonna do, right? So epicenter becomes the perfect game mode all of a sudden. One that I hated playing in basically every ship has become the most fun game mode for submarines, and that's because people push in. So 12 kilometer range, 14 kilometer range at tier 10 becomes not a big deal at all of a sudden, just because everybody is so close in. On this map, there are a lot of islands. You can see how our torps are curving directly into one because we have the Lenin pinged. But just in time, we ping the Wagami, bend the torps around that island, and we'll be all right. And then a lightning shows up, spots us for a second, and we just dip under the water. And what are they going to do? Our spotting suddenly goes down to, I think, 2.2 kilometers. We're not really spotting this lightning here, so I pop back up. I just want to dip up and down, up and down, up and down. Just trying to see where this guy went, and obviously he dipped behind the island. We already have a couple of torpedo hits, and well, we're just getting started. Later on, you're going to see me just be turning in circles. That seems to be how this ship wants to play. You just turn in circles, front torps, back torps, front torps, back torps. It's kind of hilarious. I will admit, it is kind of funny playing these ships. I would say they're more engaging and interesting when you play them really aggressive than playing something like an aircraft carrier extremely aggressively. Personally, that's why I don't really play aircraft carriers that much. If you didn't know, I don't really like the gameplay style. I don't really enjoy the whole planes kind of thing. I'm playing a ship game, right? If I wanted to play a plane game, I'd probably just go play War Thunder. Or, well, I don't think anybody plays World of Warplanes, so probably War Thunder if I wanted to play planes. So submarines at least fit the mold just a little bit better. I still think they're incredibly bad for the game and are going to result in far more passive games just because of the insane amount of damage output. Speaking of, I believe this North Carolina has used his damage control. And we have a double ping. So with this build, we actually get a 35-second ping time on double pings, which is more than enough for this guy to go behind the island, go dark. We can't even see him anymore, and we're going to get some decent torpedo hits in. I guess he slowed down because we get 0 citadels, all hitting the nose, but that is a flooding. These torps do a great job of flooding. There's a lot of dots, there's a lot of damage over time, and there's a lot of pressure on your damage control. So saving that whenever possible is going to be the key to surviving against submarines. You can go ahead and check out yesterday's video if you want to see how I was able to survive but still lose a game against 3 submarines all by myself in a Shikishima. It's not easy, and I did get very lucky to just survive, really. There was really no opportunity to win the game. But here you can see how insane this ship is. Launch the torpedoes from behind, turn around, launch torpedoes from front, just keep pinging and pinging and pinging away. You do have to consider when you ping though, because the ping cooldown is a little bit long on some of these tier 10 ships, especially on the Balao, around 10 seconds or so. Here we are curving torpedoes around this island quite nicely. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just funny. It's a little ridiculous what this is doing. Look at them. Oh man, it's just a little ridiculous. I'm sorry. I just have to laugh at it just a little bit. And now that we're up to 67,000 damage, we've dealt crippling blows to the destroyers at this point, in both spotting them and forcing them to take a bunch of damage, as well as dealing some of our own damage ourselves. And we still have most of our HP. You're going to notice that I pretty much don't use the consumables, because the way I'm playing it doesn't require it. Something like the German submarine can play somewhat more aggressively just because of its battery consumable. This thing doesn't actually get that pause on the battery timer reduction or whatever. So that's a little bit of a downside of the American side. But I think the damage output potential of this thing is just way higher. So I think you're going to see most people playing those. And there's a double ping. And that's going to go into his broadside. Oh, he takes a big hit before our torpedoes actually get there, unfortunately. And that is going to be the Lenin going down. Nice little kill confirmed there. And those torpedoes that we sent from the back a couple seconds ago, well, they're still on their way in the general direction of some of these ships. So what if we just ping someone else? And there it is. And there's the homing. Oh, man. I don't know. Obviously, there's really no threat to me here. I did get a little bit lucky in the way that the enemy team played this. I really wasn't threatened at all by the carrier or even any of the DDs, honestly. Enemy sub as well. No threat there. And yeah, a double ping on a Tirpitz. That is Citadels. And we have more torpedoes on the way, ready to go. Keep in mind, those torpedoes that just dev struck that Tirpitz were initially launched at the Lenin. Oh, and the second set we launched at the Tirpitz now are actually going to bend around that island in front of us there. Look at those ones bend around, and they're going to hit the Lepanto. I don't know, man. I just think that this wasn't tested very well. That's all. We get spotted. Oh no, it's a lightning on low HP, so he's not really going to be able to do much. And these battleships seem to be not paying too much attention to me, so they're really not doing these blind dropping airstrikes, that kind of thing, on our position, and the lightning just gets taken out by our Mogami. Again, very important to consider that if people want to come and kill you, to spot you, they have to get right up close to your ship if you are just barely submerged. So people are going to have to really push for you, and you can use that as bait to get a lot of destroyers killed. It's very, very easy to get enemy DDs killed, since they really do want to counter you. They want to push in and stop the submarines from just nuking their entire enemy team. But they often get baited in, and they can die very, very, very easily like that. So that's 140,000 damage, with very little effort on my part, and a very easy epicenter win. Submarines are, in my opinion, the strongest ship in the game for epicenter, specifically. And that's just because the central zone in epicenter is such a key component to the game. If you're in control of the central zone, the points tick is so severe that it forces the entire enemy team to stop what they're doing and push to try and get it back, or at least to stall it. And that obviously puts people at a massive, massive disadvantage. So if you're in a submarine and you're in epicenter, well, you're in luck, because you're going to have a great game. These things are still pretty good in other game modes as well, but it's not like epicenter where everybody's just forced to push into you. So that was my somewhat initial experience with the Balao. I haven't really had very many games in this thing, maybe 5 or 6 at this point, so it's only going to get better from here. So I'm going to keep playing them. Here I'm experimenting with how quickly will this torps turn and home in. Can you fit them between islands if you torp them right? There's a lot of interesting things you can do. Unfortunately, it's only really interesting for the sub player. For the surface ship players, it's not particularly enjoyable. So that is the Balao. This ship is kind of crazy. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a great day.